Hi, what is up people? You saw a video previously where I plasti-dipped my Tesla Model 3 using this stuff. And what I previously did was I de-chromed all of the chrome, and if you saw that previous video it didn't go so well, so I ended up taking it all off. A lot of that was down to the inexperience of having used this, perhaps not enough prep and not having experienced some of the nuances of doing a Model 3 with plasti-dip. Not so much a problem with the product itself. I think if I went back and did that again, I'd do a much nicer job. But given the time it would take to prep that all again, I just wasn't in the mood to do it. But what I will do in this video is plasti-dip the lettering on the back, and eventually I'm gonna probably get a vinyl wrap on the chrome, but I'm gonna plasti-dip the badge today. So the weather's pretty decent today. If it wasn't, I'd be warming these up in a bucket of water, but I don't need to. It's pretty mild. What I am going to do is ensure the car is clean, alcohol wipes, dry it all down, and then move it into the garage where I can control the environment a little bit. It's a bit windy out here, so I can avoid some of that dust and air pollutants while it dries. But we're going to move it into the garage, and then basically I'm going to cover the car up with newspapers much as I can. What you do find, this is a white car, so you notice all of the off spray everywhere on the car. It goes quite easily, so I recommend covering it up really well, especially if you've got a white car. You're going to see it more. If you have a darker car you might not see it, but it's still there, so it's definitely worth covering up and do a good job with that. Yeah, so let's get started. Alright, so here you can see I've prepped the front, and you might say it's a little bit overkill with the newspaper and the cover, but from my previous experience of the spray going everywhere, I just wanted to be double sure this is all I'm spraying, and save time not having to clean up the rest. I've got a border which is the tape which I'll pull away around, and I've left a little bit thick area which is where I'm going to grab the plasti-dip and pull away. You could go a little bit tighter than this, I think, but I've got plenty of plasti-dip, so I wasn't too worried. I'm going to start with my first coat. Okay, not going to go too thick. Nice thin coat. And while that is drying, I'll give that 20 minutes, I'll prep the back. Alright, on the back I've started here by giving the letters a border with the blue masking tape, and I've split out letters with tapes in between. That was just so maybe I can handle these letters individually in sections. I don't have to peel them all at once. I'm now going to cover the rest with newspaper and make sure nothing's exposed. Okay, I've prepped the back. I'll do my first coat in the back. Don't worry if it looks thin at this point, don't be tempted to go too heavy on it at this point. Second, third, fourth coatings will thicken it up. What I did learn from my previous attempt is it's best if you start spraying off the letters and then move your hand across, because occasionally if the splatter comes out, you don't want it to go on your actual surface. You can just stop yourself from spraying if you notice something's wrong. Alright, moving back over to the front for the second coat. At the moment it is dry to the touch, so I'm going to put on a second coat. I'm going to make an extra point of going a bit thicker around the edges. And that is to ensure that when it comes to peeling it off later on, it's as easy as possible. So I start off on the newspaper. I'm going to go thicker there. And thicker at the bottom. Just going to make a point of doing an angled spray just across there. Okay, so I'll leave that for another 20 minutes. And onto the second coat on the back. It is dry to the touch at the moment. Okay, this is coating number 3. This time I'm going to make a point of going with a lower angle and covering it from that angle. It is dry to the touch. The can doesn't like it when you hold it upside down, so I'm just going to go with my left hand. Right, and move over to the back. It is dry. And again, I'm going to go from a lower angle this time. Alright, coating number 4. So I'm going to make my way over here, make sure I get nice coverage. This time I'm going to come top down. Just extra making sure the overspray area is nice and thick. Moving over to the back. It is dry. Although I actually started this one about 10 minutes after, it's dry enough to continue. And I can see it needs a bit of spray from above and the left. This time I'm just making sure the letters have full coverage. Extra thick on the outer layer to give me something to peel away. Okay, we're on to the final coat. And it seems to look good from all angles. This is the 5th coat. I could actually peel it off now, but I'm just going to go for a 5th one for safety. Moving over to the back. Has gotten a little bit dark now. Just double checking for coverage. The S is the one that seems to be the one with a few odd spots. Just finally a thick outer coat. Should be good. So this one I'm only going to leave for about 10 minutes. So while it's still slightly wet, I will come back and start peeling. Okay guys, on the last coat I've only left it around about 10 minutes. Let's have a look. Got some toothpicks with me, which will come in handy later. So you can see it's because it's nice and thick, it's peeling pretty easily. And it's cutting in the right place, hopefully. Just move this out of the way so you can see better. Okay, you can see somehow I managed to leave a small gap there, but I'll show you how you can clean that up pretty easily as well. Use a toothpick to just get under it. Grab a hold of it. So I'm not really using the sharp end of the other toothpick, I'm just getting under it and then using it just to roll it. Okay, that's pretty good. Just that one mark, I'll show you how to remove. So I've got some of this residue remover stuff left over. Kind of stuff you get to remove marks left behind from stickers. I'll spray a little bit onto a cloth. And that should come out reasonably easily. Okay. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to move over to the back now. Now, unfortunately it's gotten a little bit dark. It's late in the evening. I don't have any lights outside, so what I'll do is I'll just get as much of this off as I can without touching the plasti-dip, and I'll turn the car around where there's some better light. Okay, I've turned the car around, got a bit of light now. See this a lot better. Okay. So here you see the reason why I keep doing those thick overspray coats is so you have something to grab and pull, and it's not just going to tear easily. Hopefully that'll allow us to pull it over the A and around its edges. Okay, that looks good. And the reason why I did those vertical tapes is so I can do it letter by letter. Just got that little bit left. just a case of grabbing hold of it and pulling it somehow. It's so tiny. I'm just going to come back to that small niggling piece there. Maybe with some tweezers later. And because I've moved the car, I've ended up, and I did the front first, so I've ended up waiting a little bit longer than I would have liked. So it's a little bit drier than really it should be. Which means the edges aren't peeling as well. For the rest of it, is to do another coat very lightly to make it wet again. I think I've just waited too long. I'm going to give that 10 minutes, or maybe even less, and I'll come back. Okay, here we go again. Moving on to the S. Okay, a little bit better that time. These small extra bits is just a case of not trying to cut them, but just trying to grab a hold of them and pulling them away. That one didn't go so well. Just in that middle one. Can't tell, but it didn't quite cut where it should have cut. And if I look from below, I can see it. I'll come back to that. You see, I did not do a good job taping my car up, even though I warned you at the start. Okay, that tea came out pretty good. No problem with the tea. Just going to clean up where I've sprayed onto the body a little bit, and then the E just in the center one, need to clean that up a little bit, and the S. And by clean up, I mean maybe just get a sharp scalpel if I can't get this with a toothpick. Or failing that, the other option is to use a tool to just tuck the little extra bits in so you don't see them. Okay. So look, I'll come back to you in the morning once the sun is out and give you a better look. Yeah, so what is up guys, it is the morning after and I'm done with the plasti-dip. All in all it came out pretty well, and so let's take a closer look. So the front badge was it was always going to be the easiest of the two. It came out really nicely. Let's take a closer look. Whether or not it looks nicer is debatable, but given that at some point I will be doing a full dechrome, makes sense to have it in black. Okay, moving on to the back. Obviously I've got Tesla lettering, it's not what comes with the car, normally it's a badge. If you've still got the badge it will be as easy as it was on the front, but these lettering, not a significant more challenge, a tiny bit more challenge, but came out pretty nicely. So I originally bought these letters in chrome rather than in matte black, which you can buy them in matte black, because at the time I wasn't sure what I was going to do with the rest of the car, whether I wanted it in chrome or black. I went with chrome so that I could plasti-dip it and have the best of both worlds. So I have both choices. So all in all, these came out pretty nicely. They were relatively easy enough to do. A few bits where if you look closely there might be some imperfections, and I'll tell you why that was. So maybe if you're getting close to the L there you might not be able to see it. It took me a little bit extra time just to clean up a little bit around it. there's a few bits coming off that around the back of the letter that was difficult to get out. And what they actually are is so these letters had double-sided tape on them, so when they were stuck on, the plasti-dip as it wraps around the letter and it gets on that double-sided tape behind, it's just been difficult to get that dip out the back. Now I guess you could use a very sharp tool and just try and cut them off, or just tuck them in behind the lettering. There was one area on one of the pieces of letters where the double-sided tape was edge to edge with the letter, so it wasn't perfectly positioned. So that when the plasti-dip wrapped around it, it didn't really have a nice edge to tear away. It was kind of confused with the body, the double-sided tape, and the chrome piece, or the plastic piece. So it didn't tear very nicely along the bottom. Now you can't actually notice it, but because I was the one doing it, I do know that it isn't the nicest separation at the bottom there. I've cleaned it up to the best I can, and if you get really low down, you might not be able to see it on the camera, but if you get really low down and look up, you can see some imperfection there. And I am a little bit of a perfectionist, so. But looking at it with standard eyes from a distance, you can't notice that these aren't factory black, so that's all good there. What I found when I had the chrome lettering in bright sunlight, you can't really see the lettering that much. It's not very visible, so I wanted the black so they stand out a bit more. Alright guys, I hope that helps someone out there who's about to do the same thing. Like with all my videos, all this really is, it's not an instructional video as such. This is my experiences as someone who's new to this kind of stuff, and for you to see how that goes, because if you're trying to do the same thing, you might have the same questions and same problems that I do, and if me doing this first helps you in any kind of way, then that's great. Okay, thanks for watching. Please do like and subscribe, that always helps out. Otherwise, see you next time.